Good evening, I'm Ces Orenia Drilon.
I'm Pauline Verzosa.
And I'm Sean Yao.
The big stories tonight. More legal experts criticize the Supreme Court's decision to throw out Vice President Sara Duterte's impeachment case even before it begins. Former members of the High Tribunal say the SC must do something to somehow rectify its ruling.
And controversy in BICAM's past rears its head in the 20th Congress. The Congress leaders taking a pot shot at each other over who's to blame for last year's contentious budget.
And speaking of the all-new 20th Congress, both the Senate and the House are almost done filling up committee chairmanships. We have the latest list of panel heads later on.
The basis for the Supreme Court ruling of lack of due process is wrong.
The Supreme Court, it's the final arbiter. Whether it's correct or not, that's the final ruling.
Vice President Sara Duterte has nothing but gratitude for her defenders and of course the Supreme Court for striking down her impeachment complaint. But constitutional experts are not as thrilled, citing alleged flaws in the High Tribunal's decision. The big story tonight from Mobile Journal, Amy Atienza.
It's a major legal victory for Vice President Sara Duterte for now. No less than the Supreme Court ruled that the ouster case against the VP cannot go on for lack of due process. Duterte has in the past weeks been out of the country. But in a statement on what she called an unconstitutional fourth impeachment complaint, she thanked her defense team for taking on her case, even when no one else was willing to stand by her. Sara also thanked those who petitioned against the ouster case for having what she calls a conviction to challenge the alleged abuses of the House of Representatives. The vice president even quoted parents, children, and silent supporters who she said offered prayers for justice. In the ruling, the Supreme Court had said Congress can only file another impeachment complaint against VP Duterte on February 6, 2026. Senate President Jesus Escudero has already said the Senate will tackle the High Tribunal's order on August 6. He added the senators will be putting this to a debate and vote on what to do with the impeachment. The lower chamber, for its part, vows to file a motion for reconsideration before the SC. For former Supreme Court Senior Associate Justice Antonio Carpio, the Senate should not take action on the impeachment case for now, as the decision is still not final pending appeal by the House.
If the decision becomes final, of course we have to follow the final ruling of the Supreme Court. It's the final arbiter. Whether it's correct or not, that's the final ruling. It's only executory, but not yet final because the House still has a motion for reconsideration. Normally, you act when it's already final. Because there's a chance, because it's not yet final, there's still a chance it could be reversed or changed.
Personally, though, Carpio isn't in favor of his former colleague's ruling. In particular, he questioned the part that said the articles of impeachment had no plenary vote before they were transmitted to the Senate. Recall that more than 200 or a third of the House of Representatives signed the impeachment complaint submitted to the upper chamber.
The finding of the Supreme Court in their decision that there was no plenary approval of the fourth complaint is totally wrong because that is not what the records of the House show. There was an actual action, actual vote by the plenary to send the fourth complaint to the Senate. It was even unanimous. Nobody objected.
Carpio also believes the one-year bar rule isn't applicable to the fourth impeachment complaint.
Supreme Court said that the one-year bar rule started to run when the House adjourned. So when the House adjourned, the fourth complaint was already approved by the plenary and it already reached the Senate. So obviously, the one-year bar rule cannot apply to the fourth complaint. The fourth complaint was filed on time.
This was seconded by one of the framers of the 1987 Constitution, Attorney Christian Monsod. In particular, he zeroed in on a portion of the SC ruling, stating that the Vice President wasn't given due process in the complaint.
That happens in the hearing in the Senate.
Yes.
So even the basis for the Supreme Court ruling of lack of due process is wrong.
Carpio is suggesting to the Supreme Court now hold oral arguments before justices decide on the anticipated appeal from the House.
Because it is in the oral argument where you can really see the entire picture. Because
Yes.
the lawyers will have to answer candidly to the court. It's not mandatory, but so that you will have, for you to have a overall appreciation of what happened, you have to call for an oral argument.
Mobile journalist Amy Atienza, we are One News.
In other news, a magnitude 8.8 struck the Kamchatka Peninsula in Russia's east coast, triggering tsunami alerts across the Pacific, including the Philippines. There have been no reports of deaths or injuries, but videos coming out of Russia show damage to infrastructure, just like in this kindergarten school. Other videos showed people bracing for the tremor. This video showed doctors still performing surgery despite the earthquake. The shock also generated 13-feet-high waves that immediately hit towns near the epicenter. Houses were seen being swept away. The megaquake also prompted tsunami warnings from Japan to as far as Hawaii and South America. Japan was first hit by large waves along Hokkaido's coastline, while Hawaii's beaches were evacuated as a threat of tsunamis loomed. The Philippines, which is some 5,000 kilometers away from the epicenter, was also forced to issue tsunami warnings in provinces along the eastern seaboard. The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, or PHIVOLCS, projected 3-feet-high waves to hit shores in these provinces, prompting evacuations. Fortunately, the projected tsunamis did not come to pass. PHIVOLCS eventually lifted the alert around 4 this afternoon.
Moving on to the agriculture sector, where farmers are lamenting the supposed injustice created by President Bongbong Marcos's 20 peso per kilo rice program. That's as prices of palay or unmilled rice continue to decline. According to University of the Philippines scientist Teodoro Mendoza, many farmers are forced to sell palay for only 8 to 12 pesos per kilo. He told the Inquirer that such price levels create so much injustice for them. The expert expressed frustration over President Marcos for trumpeting his signature campaign promise when it caused the biggest disaster for farmers. To help lift local palay prices, the Department of Agriculture will propose to raise the tariff on imported rice, currently sitting at just 15%. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Tiu Laurel Jr. told the Star that he will bat for an increase during the third periodic review. He said this would aid farmers without affecting rice prices in the retail market. Meanwhile, Philippine Statistics Authority data shows the average farm gate price of palay this June plunging by 32% year-on-year from 25 pesos to 17 pesos per kilo. Some groups, such as the Integrated Rural Development Foundation, are urging Congress to repeal the rice tarification law and set a minimum farm gate price of 25 pesos a kilo.
President Marcos said during his SONA that his administration has proven that rice prices can be brought down to 20 pesos per kilo without incurring losses for farmers. Was this pronouncement correct? Let's discuss this with Jason Cainglet, Executive Director of the Agricultural Group SINA. Good evening and welcome to The Big Story. We caught your interview with Ted Filon this morning and you were saying na tama naman ang sinabi ni Pangulong Marcos. May you elaborate?
Yes, magandang gabi po sa kanila, Mrs. Miss Sean and Miss Pauline. Tama po yung sinabi ng Presidente dahil hindi naman talaga directly link yung 20 pesos sa pagbaba ng presyo ng palay. In fact, tama rin ang Presidente na yung binibiling palay para maging 20 pesos na bigas ay binibili po ng NFA at 23 pesos farm gate. Ibig sabihin, yun po yung fair price. Kaya lang from 23, ginigiling siya ng NFA, binebenta, meal to cost talaga ng NFA po is 35 pesos. Ibig sabihin, government is subsidizing 15 pesos per kilo to arrive at 20 pesos na ibinebenta po ng ating gobyerno under the 20 piso programa niya sa bigas. Unfortunately, ginagamit siya ng mga traders at millers as an excuse. Pero po sa bahagi namin, ang talaga pong dahilan, batay na rin po sa report siya kanina, daus-dus po kasi yung presyo ng palay ngayon dahil bumabaha po tayo. Ang baha natin hindi lang po sa bagyo, no, o sa tubig. Bumabaha po tayo ngayon ng murang imported rice. Ang Vietnam rice po, Mrs. ay pumapasok siya na landed cost at only 24 pesos per kilo. Ibig sabihin, yung mga importers, they can sell yung bigas at 30 pesos to 32 pesos. Kaya kung yun po ang lens ng ating mga millers at traders, talagang they can only buy palay maximum 14-15 pesos para kumita sila. So we really squarely attribute yung pagbagsak po ng presyo ng palay dito po sa self-inflicted disaster natin when we reduced yung tariff po sa imported rice to only 15% po.
So, could not the Agriculture Department intervene dito sa tarification ng imported rice? Kasi emergency lang yun noon dahil sa krisis.
Tama po. In fact, nag-meeting po kami kanina sa NEDA kasama ang Department of Agriculture and gaya rin po sa ulat nila kanina, DA is already pushing for tariff reversion, ibalik sa talagang tariff niya at 30%. And we are supporting that and we're hoping po na sooner or later talagang maibalik yung tariff at 35% para naman po may laban ng ating local farmers and even yung millers and traders talagang kahit po pagbalik-balik na rin natin, hindi po talaga sila makakasabay if yung imported rice is only being sold at 30 pesos per kilo.
Itong tarification, ang Kongreso lang ang pwedeng gumawa nito? O pwede bang ang DA lang?
Actually po, itong ating tariff reduction ngayon was because of the executive order ng Pangulo. Yung executive order po sa tariff, ginagawa siya when Congress is in session. Ang problema po natin ngayon, Mrs., yung recess ng Congress, kakasimula lang niya last Monday, ay sa October pa. So we're hoping Congress can intervene within the next 2 weeks para po through legislation, they can revert back po yung mga taripang binaba, hindi lang bigas, pati po baboy at manok, back to yung kanilang original rate na 35% for ASEAN countries, and 50% po from non-ASEAN countries like India and Pakistan.
Mr. Kainglet, I'm curious, ano ba talaga yung nag-impact? Obviously, EO62, which was passed nung time na mataas nga yung mga presyo. Ngayon nabagsak na, dapat na siyang i-repeal. Pero may effect rin ba yung rice tarification law sa presyo or mababang farm gate price ng palay currently?
We don't attribute it sa RTL. Talaga po ang main culprit po natin, yung pong pagbaba ng taripa. Dahil tama po ang sinabi nila, last year po, ang presyo po ng imported na bigas was around $670 per metric tons. Mataas po talaga siya, kaya mataas ang local rice natin. Pero this year po, starting February, March, bumagsak po siya to only $340. So halos kalahati po ang binagsak niya. Doble, binagsak na talaga at 50%. So even po yung ating imported rice, nag-peak siya sa 36, 37. Ngayon po, it's down to 24 pesos landed cost. Kaya po, tama po sila. It's really high time. Ginawa lang natin yung tariff reduction because of yung crisis na mataas ang presyo po ng bigas globally. Pero ngayon pong bumagsak na, we're really hoping na maging urgent po ang panawagan natin sa Congress kasi po, crucial po itong next 4 weeks dahil panahon po ng taniman. Ang kinakatakot natin, ladies, ay baka po walang magtanim o konti lang ang magtanim, mas malaki po impact noon come October and November. Yun po yung harvest ng ating next cropping ng palay.
Quick follow-up lang, nabanggit nyo kay Ted Filon at DJ Chacha kaninang umaga na ang NFA nabibili lang niya mga 2% ng local production. Tama po ba yun? At pabor ba kayo na ibalik yung dating function ng NFA?
Tama po yun. Kaya partly correct din ang presidente nang sinabi niya hindi niya binabarat ang farmers at hindi binabarat ng 20 peso program yung pagbili ng palay, which is true. Kasi nga po, ang NFA, binibili niya yung palay sa farmers at 23. Dry po yan. Ibig sabihin, fair price po yung 23. Kung fresh naman, they're buying at 18. Totoo po yung mataas ang presyo ng NFA. Pero unfortunately, ang nabibili lang po ng NFA sa ngayon ay 2% lang ng total harvest. Ibig sabihin, yung 98% remains in the hands po ng mga traders and millers. Kaya po ang sinasabi rin natin kasabay ng pagbalik sa taripa, sana po mag-increase tenfold yung budget ng NFA. Regardless po kung i-revise ang RTL, kung palitan siya, kung palakasin ang mandate ng NFA, importante po may budget Kasi po kahit i-revise natin ang rice tariffication law, kung ang budget naman ng NFA to procure palay ay nasa 9 billion lang, talaga pong maliit lang ang kanyang makukuhang palay at hindi siya papansinin ng mga millers and traders. Kaya po, if we push it by tenfold, NFA would be getting 20% of the total harvest. Significant na po yun para yung mga millers and traders sumunod din po sa presyo ng NFA. That would be fair po sa ating mga farmers.
So it should be able to influence the market. It should have enough percentage to influence the market. But as it is, 2%, parang very minimal lang. And you mentioned na suportado kayo dito ni Secretary Laurel, Chu Laurel, pero hindi ng buong economic team. So, paano po? Totoo ba yun? Paano? Can you give us the background of that?
Suportado tayo ni Secretary Laurel, pero siya kasi calibrated. Ang posisyon ng DA, 25%, itaas to 25%. Ngayon po kasi 15%. Kami, 35%. Ibalik talaga sa original rate. So, 25% is better than 15%. Hopefully, after yung meeting po kanina, sabi kasi natin, yung 25% baka wala pa rin magtanim Yun po ang ating main worry ngayon, panahon ng taniman, panahon ng paghahanda sa pagtatanim. Kung walang assurance po ang farmers that they will get a fair price sa kanilang produce, ine-expect natin talagang bababa po yung ating production. Etong main cropping pa naman, kasi po yung tag-ulan, yan ang ating main cropping, 70% ng ating supply nanggagaling po ngayong panahon ng tag-ulan, yung ating main cropping.
And sir, pagdating nga sa issue na to, hindi lang siya usapin ng polisiya, kundi political will na rin. Nabanggit nyo kanina, you hope that Congress will intervene. With that said, may mga kausap na po ba kayong kongresista, mga senador o mga congressman po?
Kausap na po natin yung mga bagong talagang committee chairs, si Senator Kiko and si Congressman Mark Enverga. And we're hoping na yung pagtulong nila sa atin dati, tuloy-tuloy pa rin ang pagtulong by helping talaga na ma-revert itong tariff. Pero yun nga po, ang sinasabi natin, yung energy and enthusiasm natin na pababain ang presyo ng bigas, which is commendable. We support that. Sana naman, ganun din po yung energy at encouragement na ibibigay ng government and the whole private sector para naman po makita ng farmers na may value pa rin sa pagtatanim. Kasi po talagang pag sa tinanong mo, they will only plant sa kakainin nila. Hindi sila magtatanim kumbaga for selling kasi talagang luging-lugi po sila ngayon. Imagine, binibili at 8 to 10 pesos while the cost to produce palay is about 14 po. So, even yung kanilang production cost,
Right.
mas mababa pa yung I mean, we can understand that saan ka naman, they have no choice kung mas malulugi ka, ba't ka pa o magpapakapagod?
So, in other...
Go ahead. Sige, pero I just wanted to point out kasi kung bagsak na bagsak ang presyo, Farmgate, you said Farmgate ng Vietnam is 23, ay landed cost. Eh di, but it's bad. Ang sasabihin, dyan na lang bibili, di ba? Tapos ang isa-subsidize mo, parang pareho lang, kumbaga.
Well, kung sa point of view lang po ng presyo, that can be okay, pero you're looking at 10 million Filipino farmers at yun nga ang problema, no, ang sinubsidize ng government ay indirectly ay yung mga foreign
Vietnamese.
farmers.
It's correct.
Well, imagine,
But the temptation will be there, you know. The temptation will be there to just say, import na lang tayo ng mura. Wala namang ganun kanina
Pero
sa
yun nga po,
usapan
we
sa
did prove-
NEDA.
meron po, we raised the point na binaba ng NEDA yung taripa para bumaba ang presyo. Pero it took us 6 months bago bumaba at bumaba yung presyo ng bigas because government intervened through yung imposition ng MSRP o yung maximum suggested retail price. Number 2, talagang bumagsak po yung presyo ng bigas globally. And number 3 po, ang hindi natin napapansin, mismong BOC, Bureau of Customs, sinabi, we lost 25 billion mula nung in-implement ang EO62 just dito lang sa tariff ng bigas. Ibig sabihin, yung 25 billion, pwedeng-pwede na yan ang ibigay mo sa farmer as support price sa palay, makakabawi ka. So, hindi po nakuha yung objective ng EO62, napababay ng presyo, buwaba po yung presyo because of the actual market operation.
Forces, yeah.
Opo, yung kumbaga, kung di natin ginalaw yung taripa last year, kusang bababa siya kasi yun po talaga ang direction. Going down po yung global price po ng bigas sa international market.
Sorry,
Sir,
Pawi.
opo, gusto ko lang sana tanungin, gaano po ba kahalaga sa panahon ngayon na may direktang cash assistance o ayuda ang mga farmers kesa yung mga fertilizer voucher? At paano po ba ito magagawa sa practical na paraan? As you pointed out, kung kaya nga ng gobyerno i-subsidize ang 20 peso na bigas, baka may mabibigay din sila sa mga magsasaka.
Under the rice tariffication law for the past 6 years, meron naman pong mekanismo ang DA, identified nila sino ang farmer, alam nila kung sino yung nagsasaka in certain areas, and they have been giving cash incentives for the past 3 years. Same din po sa mga vouchers, identified naman po kami, sa amin nga mas better na itong ibigay mo itong mga cash incentives sa farmers, imbis na mag-ayuda ka ng tupad o akap na, hindi siya productive binibigay mo lang as ayuda, lalo tuloy hindi nagkatrabaho ang mga tao. Ito pong farmers talagang nagpapakahirap, nagsasakripisyo, and yet, little yung nakukuha nila. And salamat po sa pagkakataon na ma-voice out natin to kasi crucial po yung next 6 weeks, again, sinasabi natin, para yung farmers, makita nila na there is encouragement, there is push for them na magtanim pa at hindi babaliwala yung efforts nila in the next 3 to 4 months.
Mr. Kainglet, tataka lang ako. Itong 20 peso per kilo rice ni President BBM, as it turns out, actually nakakatulong siya sa mga farmers. Pero ang tanong, gaano ka-sustainable ba ito? Kasi pwede itong palitan ng next admin, di ba? So, do you see na kailangan bang ipagpatuloy ito, i-legislate perhaps yung subsidy?
Kaya po siya sinasubsidize ngayon. Kasi nga, yung totoong presyo niya is 35. So you need to subsidize 15 pesos to get to 20. Kami naman po, as long as may budget siya, at ang nakikinabang naman, kamukha ngayon, are the vulnerable sectors, di ba? Yung 4Ps, yung PWD, yung seniors, single parent, okay po tayo doon. If there is budget, ang sabi ng DA, meron silang 118 billion para ubusin sa 20 pesos na bigas. It's okay kasi we are supporting talaga yung vulnerable sectors na maka-afford ng murang bigas. Ang point namin ngayon, sana ay ganun din ang ibigay sa ating mga rice
Tama
farmers.
naman.
If they can
Yes.
subsidize 15 pesos, ang request ngayon natin dahil wala pa po tayong floor price, kailangan siyang i-legislate na. Kahit po 5 to 6 pesos lang per kilo ng palay, suportahan ng gobyerno ngayon para naman po kahit
Yung RCEF, Sir Jason,
go ahead.
nakakarating po ba talaga to sa mga farmer? Matagal ko na itong pinagtataka. RCEF, Rice Competitiveness Enhancement.
Nakakarating po. Yes, may mga may mga debate tayo sa RTN, pero yung pondo po talaga goes directly sa rice industry. Ibig sabihin, may cash incentives ang farmers, they get the machineries, they get the seeds, they get the trainings, they get the loans. Meron naman po talagang nakukuha. Of course, hindi siya perfect, pwede pang ayusin. Pero ang importante po, yung tariff that we're getting from the rice imports, they really go directly sa farmers, no question about that.
Exactly. If we
May
didn't
mga
lower
problema-
it, di sana
Oo,
ang
mas
laki.
marami silang
Oo.
nakuha.
But this is my question, Jason. Could the Department of Agriculture not have acted more expeditiously dito sa pagbaba ng presyo ng bigas nung nasa recess pa, hindi in session ang legislature? Hindi ba dapat minomonitor yun dahil talagang severe ang effect sa atin ngayon? Kailan ba nagsimulang bumaba? Hindi ba dapat umaksyon din tayo agad? At hindi humantong sa ganito?
Bumaba siya starting December last year.
Oo.
Nagkaroon po ng review ang NEDA with us February. In fact, ang DA sinasabi niyang calibrated na dapat yung pagbalik ng taripa. Ang problema, yung economic team po under NEDA, ngayon DEP na siya. Sila po kasi yung kumbaga sabi sa presidente na wag mo nang itaas. Unfortunately, outvoted ang DA. And kaya kami, we're confident sa DA ngayon kasi pinupush naman niya yung ating position. Unfortunately, pag nagbotahan po yung economic team, lagi pong outvoted ang DA. Pero ngayon, hopefully, because of the crisis situation, manig naman po sana yung boses ng DA. Kasama po itong mga sinasabi ng lahat ng groups ngayon na pleading the government na tulungan ngayon ang ating mga rice farmers.
Ano yung rationale, Sir Jason, nung February meeting, bakit daw sinabi ng DepDev na wag muna ngayon? January pa lang mababa na yung presyo sa pangdaigdigang merkado.
Ang sinasabi nila baka raw magalawang market, hindi pa ganun kalaki yung kumbaga ay because and
Unstable
remember and remember it's campaign period.
Well, they made the wrong call. That is an interesting insight.
Yeah.
Kailangan mas malakas ang boses ng DA. Kung gusto nating lumakas ang agrikultura, bakit ganun? Na-outvote lagi. Sino ba yung mga yan? Sino sila?
Ang pinanggalingan po ng EO62, remember, mataas yung inflation nung around June, May last year. Bumagsak po yung kumbaga, yung satisfaction rating ng presidente. And they need to according to them, kailangan gawin ang tariff reduction para bumaba ang presyo, to tame inflation. In fact, yun ang sinasabi nilang dahilan bakit tumaas ang rating ng Pangulo in the succeeding surveys. Ngayong February, pinupusan natin na sabi natin, malapit na sa crisis situation. Pero remember, it's an electoral period, panahon ng kampanya. Ayaw nilang magalaw yung presyo ng bigas, including baboy and pork, kasi kasama sa EO62 yan. Kaya they maintain na wag mo nang galawin. Pero ngayon po, tapos na eleksyon, nanalo na yung mga dapat manalo. So we're hoping this time, hindi na maging political yung decision ng NEDA, tulungan ng magsasaka, tulungan ng DA, para i-plead ang ating kaso. And then Congress should act. Kasi po ngayon, hindi natin maaantay ang presidente to issue an executive order kasi naka-session ng Congress.
Okay.
Ang only way po na maibalik ang tarifa, through Congress dahil naka-session po sila ngayon.
Kaso sana bilisan nila, di ba? Pero another factor here is is not the government protecting also certain traders, certain big importers?
Kami naman sinasabi namin na kung gusto nyo talagang protektahan ng mababang presyo, eto na yon. Kumbaga sagad na yung presyo, kung papatagalin pa natin, we might have that moment in time sa October or December na wala nang magsasaka. Yun ang atin pong gusto kong iwasan na mangyari between now and August kasi yan po yung panahon ng magtatanim ng farmers. Pag ito po ay hindi natin na-actionan, talagang bababa sigurado ang production bukod sa bagyo.
Okay.
Yung dami ng farmers na hindi magtatanim is significant. And I'm glad Senator Gatchalian is nandito na sa na Zoom natin. We need all the support that we
sige.
can get para po ang
sige.
Congress can
We will ask him that.
to revert back yung ating tariff to 35%.
But I have one last question. So it's not really exactly economic saboteurs, but really a miscalculation by the economic team of where the rice prices will go globally. A misappreciation.
It's not defending millers or traders kasi ang sabi ng presidente hahabulin itong mga nagsasamantala, pero hindi po nagsasamantala kasi yung traders at millers negosyante rin sila. If they're going to buy palay at a loss, ba't pa sila bibili? So they cannot buy at the level ng NFA na 17. Kasi sabi talagang mabibili nila ngayon ng palay at 13 dapat or 14, pero not 15 or 16 or 17. Dahil nga, ang wholesale po ng bigas, because of the flooding of imported rice, nasa 30 lang. So they can't afford to buy beyond 14 or beyond 15 pesos na palay. So, to be fair sa mga traders, siguro may nagsasamantala yung 8 saka 9, kailangan habulin yan. Pero yung trader in general, ang nagiging epekto po, Mrs., lalong hindi bumibili ang trader ng palay. Lalong kawawa ang farmer kasi ngayon takot na habulin sila eh. Yung the mere fact na sinabi ko, habulin niya mga economic saboteurs, nagkaroon kaagad ng fear among the traders and millers na ba't pa kami bibili? Malulugi na nga kami, kakasuhan pa kami ng economic sabotage. So, I mean, just to be fair po sa kanila, talagang hirap din silang sumabay sa napakamura pong imported rice na bumabaha po sa ating market ngayon.
All right, we thank you so much, Jason Cainglet, Executive Director of SINAG, telling us that the next 6 weeks is going to be crucial. Thank you.
We're just going to take a quick break, but coming up on the big story, the budget season is just around the corner, and both houses of Congress are vowing more transparency in deliberations to prevent a repeat of last year's mess. We have the details of that in a bit. Keep it here on One News.
Welcome back to the big story. Taking cue from the lower house, the Senate has also initiated resolutions to open meetings of the bicameral conference committee to the public. On Tuesday, Speaker Martin Romualdez said the House is willing to open bicam deliberations on the budget, a practice usually held behind closed doors to ensure transparency. Several senators from the majority and minority blocs have submitted resolutions calling on the upper chamber to do the same.
Ginawa ko din yon nung Finance Committee Chairman ako. Papanukala ko rin kay Senator Win. Hindi naman po pwede na walang babaguhin at hindi pwedeng baguhin yun na nakaukit sa bato. Tingin ko hindi mangyayari yan.
Senator Escudero, however, is still in the middle of a controversy regarding the national budget. It has been reported that billions were inserted in last year's coffers for his benefit and that of his allies. There's also a video circulating which showed Senator Escudero visiting the House of Representatives several times in the middle of the BICAM deliberations in 2024. Senator Escudero supposedly went to the office of Speaker Romualdez to secure budget insertions. Escudero has since called these allegations a mere demolition job.
Sa mga insertion ng budget, wala talaga kayong ibinulsa or meron?
Wala. Malamang galing din sa kanila yan dahil ang paninira na-trace naming paninira laban sa amin ay nanggagaling din sa Kamara. Hindi nga lang siguro 2 beses ako bumisita pero hindi sa tanggapan ni Speaker Romualdez. So, bawal na rin magpunta at gawin ng trabaho bilang BICAM member. Bawal bilang Senate President tingnan kung ayos yung staff na gumagawa ng BICAM. May insinuation.
In response, House spokesperson Princess Abante said Escudero should just answer the allegations instead of pointing fingers at the House.
Bakit kami? Ba't kami may kasalanan? Ang tanong naman po ay tinatanong kay Senate President Shees, bakit po sa amin po binabato ang tanong? Bakit pag may mga criticism sa kanya, tinataasan niya ng kilay ang House of Representatives?
And we now discuss this issue and more with Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. Good evening, Senator. Thank you for joining us once again in the big story.
Good evening, Seth. Good evening to all of you. Good evening to our televiewers.
Now, as chair of the powerful Finance Committee, before we tackle the other issues, would you please comment on the tussle between Senator Escudero and the House of Representatives?
Well, as far as I know, and so far as what Senate President Chis Escudero said, that all of those things that came out is a demolition job connected to the Senate presidency that was once being vied for. So I will take it as it is, and I'll take the statement of Senate President Chis Escudero as it is.
Mm-hmm. Now, both houses seem in agreement to a more transparent budget process. How will you go about it? How do you suggest it should be done?
Well, since I heard the statement of the House of Representatives saying that they will live stream the hearings, they will open the bicameral conference committee hearings, but I will take it further than just opening it to the public by opening the bicameral conference committee to the public. I will make sure, at least on the Senate side, that the documents pertaining to the budget will be uploaded to the website. Right now, if you look at the documents connected to the website, you can only see the NEP if you go to the DBM website and download it, and you see the GAA once it's done. But anything in between or anything beyond or before the NEP is not uploaded to the website. So you don't have any way of tracking the movement of the budget. You can only see the start and you can only see the end. So insofar as the Senate is concerned, at least under my chairmanship at the Senate Committee on Finance, is to upload the pertinent documents. For example, the amended version of the budget and also the third reading version of the budget. We will also request from the DBM to upload what we call the BP 201 form or the Budget Proposal 201. These are all the budget proposals made by the different departments and approved or denied by the DBM. This is in order for the public to see what was the original proposals of the different departments. We will also request from our House counterparts to upload the GAB, the General Appropriations Bill. This is actually the version that the House of Representatives approved and to be transmitted to the Senate. So all of the, because the budget is a process, so all of the documents going through that process will be uploaded to the website in order for the public to see.
But the Senate can also conduct its own hearings coinciding with the House even before they transmit to you the budget, correct?
Correct. We can hold, because of the time limitations,
Yeah.
we only barely 4 months to approve the budget. The target is to approve it before the year end, so we have a new budget next year. So what we normally do is we conduct simultaneous hearings already. Actually, we don't call it hearing, budget briefings. No? So that we will already ask questions to the different departments and also take inputs from the different departments. I'll also question them on what are the ineffective projects and programs in the budget, so that all of those inputs will be carried over or included in the Senate version, and the Senate version will be the one that will be transmitted to the Bicameral Conference Committee.
On a related note, Senator, Congressman Toby Tiangco went on a couple of interviews yesterday, and actually since after SONA, and he mentioned the existence of this small committee. He said, you know, it doesn't actually happen in the BICAM, but after the BICAM, there's still a small committee of 4. Would you know anything about that, and what are you planning to do about that practice?
Okay. What I intend to do is to limit the BICAM to disagreeing provisions. So meaning what the House did not or did propose and what the Senate did or did not propose, those are the only items that we can talk about. We cannot talk about items outside of the disagreeing provisions. Now, insofar as that quote-unquote small committee, there are technical committees because this is a very technical document. If you see the NEP, the National Expenditure Program, it's about 4 volumes of probably 1,000 pages each volume. So it's a very technical document, and you need technical people to reconcile because you have 2 houses with different proposals to reconcile those differences.
But Senator, what is your reaction to what President Marcos said in his SONA, wherein he promised that any bill in the GAA that does not align with the NEP, the National Expenditure Program, he promises to return, even if that means having a reenacted budget next year?
Well, we have to understand that when the president submits the NEP, the National Expenditure Program, that's in effect the president's budget. That's his budget in order to govern the country and in order for the president to reach his goals and targets. And it's important that the budget supports the president. And what happens admittedly, along the budget process, there are programs, projects, there are items in the budget that are inefficient or not being used efficiently by the different departments. And that's where the legislature comes in. The legislature can remove those inefficient budgets. They can transfer it to more important items. And that's part of the legislative process. But it should be confined to what the president aims to do in the following year. That's why he said it should be aligned with the national priorities. And I agree with that because we have to make sure that the budget supports the priorities of the president. It should not veer away too much from that priority.
So in your opinion, Senator, it's not executive overreach on the part of the president?
It has to be a balancing act. The legislature should be vigilant should be vigilant and should be able to do its job to make sure that the budget is efficient. Like in my case, as a chairman of the Finance Committee, I want to make sure that the budget is efficient. And when I say efficient, the projects will be felt by the people. Those items that are not being utilized will be removed, and the budget should be should be wisely spent. So this is what I meant with efficiency. And that principle should also be aligned with the president's objective this coming new year. So it's a balancing act, but definitely it has to support the president's objective this coming new year.
So you are also in agreement with the minority in the Senate. They have the same concerns and they have several suggestions.
Yes, I do agree, but I want to take it further. Like I mentioned before, all the documents pertaining to the budget should be uploaded. Right now, we like for example, me and my team, we do the budget analysis, and believe me, says they will give us books of the budget, and those books we have to scan it, and we have to turn it into readable and searchable format. So in other words, the documents are not even digitalized. So if you want the public to help the government analyze the budget, it has to be at least digitalized. No?
So you're doing that now?
I'm doing it for the last 9 years. I've been doing that for the last 9 years. It's a very taxing activity, but we have to do it in order to break down the details of the budget.
Okay. We just had Jason Cainglet of SINAG, the Agricultural Group, and he is saying that an urgent matter is the reduction of or increase rather, of the tariffs on rice. Because otherwise, our farmers may opt not to plant because we are flooded with imports, cheap imports.
Actually, but I just came from Nueva Ecija last week, and I talked to some of the agricultural stakeholders there, and it's indeed the buying price of palay now is at 12 pesos. Their cost is around 15, 16 pesos, so the farmers are losing money. And the reason for that is twofold. Number one, importation. Because of global prices going down, there are now cheap importation coming in. So it's affecting the buying price of palay in the countryside. And number two, apparently, this is the information I got, because of the 20 peso rice as well, it's also affecting the buying price of palay in the countryside. So again, it's a balancing act. You want the consumers to get low price of rice, but you don't want it too low that the farmers will lose money. So you have to make sure that it's a balancing act and it's a dynamic policy, especially when prices are going up.
Will you support the increase in?
I'm open to studying it. I'm open to taking a look at that because, like I said, I heard from the ground in Nueva Ecija that the buying price is very low. So I'm open to looking at bringing back. Actually, it's just going back to the original 35% tariffs.
You're happy now.
But we have to also take note. The tariff of the U.S. is zero. And one of the things they want to import or export to the Philippines is rice.
I thought that's not included. Wheat, soy, hindi ba sinabi nila that these products that will affect our own producers?
Well, we're waiting for the details, Cess. There's no details yet. Apparently, they're still under negotiation, but I'm just talking about general statements. I saw part of the agricultural exports that they want is rice, rice, corn, soy, other agricultural products.
Cars. But Senator, can we just move over to last year's budget, or actually this year's budget, which was deliberated on last year and passed last year, where a lot of things really came to the fore, and that's when people really got interested in the budget. How do we ensure that, PhilHealth keeps its budget? Education gets the largest chunk of the budget. Do you have plans in advance because of all the brouhaha that happened on how you're going to do that?
Well, the SONA, there's a reason why the SONA is given before the budget submission. In the next 2 weeks, the budget will be submitted to Congress. And the SONA is actually a signal, and it will dictate the direction of the budget. If you listen to the President's SONA, about 60 to 70% of his SONA is dedicated to the basics. That's why I call it back to the basics, education and health. So that's why in my one of my directions for the 2026 budget is to make it an education budget, focus on the basics, especially on education, because for a very long time, education, even though it's getting a lot of the highest priority, but we're not spending on the right items. So we're making sure that budget still remains, it still gets the highest priority and still gets the highest allocation. We're targeting 4% of GDP this coming 2026. That's our own target. But we're also going to make sure that it's appropriated to the right items. Like, for example, mental health, tutoring programs, teacher aids, all of these things.
And flood control project, Senator, of course, that got the biggest standing ovation in the whole SONA. Can we expect a lot less of that and you to guard against those cropping up, in the voluminous files?
Well, personally, I will take a look at that. It gets about 200 plus billion pesos a year for the last 2 years. So with that large amount of sum, at least we will solve some flooding in some area. So we will definitely review that this coming 2026. I will not allow a reallocation of flood control projects in the same manner. That will not happen under our watch.
Well, Senator, if I may just pivot to a different topic, the impeachment. The Senate is set to tackle it exactly a week from now, August 6th. And you were one of 5 senators who voted against remanding it back to the lower chamber. What is your stance now following the Supreme Court's decision to rule it unconstitutional?
My principles always follow the Constitution because that's our sworn responsibility. And under the Constitution, we have mandates. The legislature's mandate is to make laws, and the Supreme Court is to adjudicate cases of constitutionality or questions of constitutionality. In this particular case, the Supreme Court has already spoken that the articles of impeachment is unconstitutional. And on top of that, he also
It's not yet final.
they actually said it's executory, so we have to execute it already. They also added in the decision, I read the 97-page decision, they also said that it's void ab initio. So meaning as if nothing happened. It's voided from the beginning. So it's a very strict requirement by the Supreme Court. Nevertheless, it's a decision by the Supreme Court, a body that is mandated by our own Constitution that we're sworn to follow, that they are the sole body to be the arbiter of questions on constitutionality.
Okay. I have a last question. I know we're running out of time, but are you happy to relinquish education to Senator Bam Aquino in exchange for this powerful position you now hold?
Well, I'm very happy, Cess, that another education graduate will take over the helm. In fact, I also turned over the chairmanship or co-chairmanship of EDCOM to Senator Bam Aquino. He's a well-known education advocate. It's been his passion and advocacy for many, many years. I'm very excited to work with him on the budget front. Now that I'm handling the budget, we can support each other in terms of policy and budget, and that goes hand in hand in terms of effectiveness.
Mas marami ka lang sakit ng ulo ngayon.
Kasama trabaho yan, Cess.
Well, we thank you for your time once again, Senator Win Gatchalian.
Maraming salamat.
Over at the House of Representatives, new leaders have been elected for several committees. Chairing the powerful Appropriations Committee is Nueva Ecija 1st District Congresswoman Mika Susan Singh. This panel has direct influence over the national budget. The Quad Committee will continue to exist in the 20th Congress, still composed of the panels on dangerous drugs, public order and safety, human rights, and public accounts. These committees will be chaired by Bukidnon 2nd District Representative Jonathan Keith Flores, Manila 2nd District Rep Rolando Valeriano, and Manila 6th District Congressman Benny Abante, respectively. The Committee on Public Accounts does not have a leader yet. Meanwhile, Davao de Oro 1st District Representative Carmen Zamora will be chairing the Committee on Accounts, which takes care of the internal budget of the House. The lower chamber has also elected Marikina 2nd District Congressman Miro Kimbo as chair of the Committee on Ways and Means, which handles tax and revenue legislation. Manila 3rd District Congressman Joel Chua is retained as Good Government and Public Accountability Committee Chair, while Cagayan de Oro 1st District Congressman Lordan Suan heads the Committee on Public Information. Earlier, Majority Leader Sandro Marcos has also been named Rules Committee Chair. Iloilo 3rd District Representative Lawrence Defensor, who also serves as House Prosecutor in the Duterte impeachment, is Senior Deputy Majority Leader.
Over at the Senate, more committee chairmanships were farmed out. Leading the Committee on Culture and the Arts is Senator Loren Legarda, while Senator Bato de la Rosa also got the Civil Service, Government Reorganization, and Professional Regulation Committee. Minority members get one committee each. Senator Mig Zubiri has the Economic Affairs Committee, while returning Senator Ping Lacson will chair the Electoral Reforms and People's Participation Panel. Senator Mark Villar, who already heads Public Works, has also been assigned Government Corporations and Public Enterprises Committee, while Senator Risa Ontiveros gets to head again the Women, Children, Family Relations, and Gender Equality Committee. Ontiveros is also Deputy Minority Leader alongside Zubiri, while the Deputy Majority Leaders are Senators J.V. Ejercito and Rodante Marcoleta.
And finally, the congressman caught on camera watching an Sabong game has already come forward. He is AGAP party list representative Nicanor Briones, who caused a firestorm on social media for watching online cockfighting during Monday's election of House Speaker. Briones says he has nothing to be ashamed of because he never engaged in sabong nor used an e-wallet app.
Totoo, hindi ako nag-sabong. Sa totoo lang, may nag-message sa akin sa Messenger. So, tinignan ko lang naman. Hindi ko naman nakalain na meron palang magkukuha ng aking mga private messages. So, nagulat na lang ako. Pero okay lang yon. Dahil malinis ang konsensya ko, hindi naman ako nagsasabong. Ako, hindi mo ako makikita sa kahit sa sabungan. At fake news. Online sabong sinasabi, niwala akong GCash. Niwala akong money transfer na online. Hindi ako marunong dahil old school tayo.
Briones also says he has forgiven those who took and uploaded his photos. The congressman says he revealed his identity to respect Speaker Martin Romualdez, or out of respect to Speaker Martin Romualdez and the House, whose image has also taken a hit because of the now viral images. Before this, Senator Erwin Tulfo, the newly minted chair of the Games and Amusement Committee, had called out Briones. Tulfo also revealed his stance on online gambling.
I want this online gambling stop. Ora mismo dapat itigil na ang online gambling. Because of the fact masama na po ang nangyayari. Take the case of that lawmaker na nahuli, nag-online sabong, nakakahiya naman, di ba? We have to stop this. Pero kung talagang hindi niya na makontrol yung kanyang kate, dapat trabahuin niya muna. Doon siya magtago siya sa bahay niya, magsugal siya ng online gambling. Bahala na po yung ethics committee doon, na mag-discipline sa kanya, pero very frustrating.
Hindi naman daw siya tumaya. Diba?
Nanonood lang naman daw. But it reminded me of, you remember in school, pag nagsa-cellphone ka, bawal talaga kasi yun.
Ano yung mga excuse ba?
Ano
Ako wala na eh. Medyo, pag nahuli ako parang,
Sorry
na.
nasa school ako, wala pang
buti pala naabutan ko.
Okay,
overtime.
We've run out of time. That's it for the big story this Wednesday. Thanks so much for watching.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.
We'll be back here tomorrow, 7:30. See you then, and have a good night.
Right, Waiting by the Wings, play-by-play with Andre Felix and Cheska Liton Calao. Hi guys! Ano?
Teka lang, may pinapanood ako dito.
Bakasan tao.
Huwag kayo magulo dyan.
Basta nanonood ka.
Picture sa kanya from the back.
Oo, pinapanood ko live stream nyo.
May CCTV dun sa likod.
Ha?
May
Huli pero di ko lang. Hindi, alam nyo, we talked about it kanina sa Good Morning Kapatid with, di ba, Chiki Roa Puno used to be a congresswoman. She was part of the House of Representatives. Sabi niya, not naman to his defense, to Representative Briones' defense, pero there are times talaga na minsan matagal, mapapatingin ka daw sa cellphone mo talaga. Nagkataon nga lang, na tinitingnan niya, sabong.
Hindi, pwede naman siya mag-Instagram.
Sabi may nag-forward. Ano ba yung sinabi sa kanya? Anong excuse niyan? May nag-forward?
May nag-forward. Tapos yung link, tas pinindot niya, yun yung lumabas.
Yung the thing is kasi ang daming angulo nung kumuha. So I think more than
How
one
long?
person
Yeah.
saw.
Okay.
Yeah,
At saka,
yun.
talaga ba?
Mahirap pa.
Parang,
Sana mag-online shopping na lang.
Ang importante, he already, what do you call this? He already accepted the apology daw of those who took the photos.
Kasalanan pa nun
he has forgiven
He has
them.
forgiven.
Yun na nga,
Pinatawad
tawa-tawa,
niya.
no?
Pwede siyang tularan doon. Napaka-forgiving.
Kasi ba't nyo pa binidyo tuloy? Oh, yan,
No, marami naman talaga nagsa-cellphone while Congress is in session eh.
Yes.
Pero I guess answering
Wala namang
messages
kumuha dun sa
or
taong,
ano.
di ba, nag-text lang. Walang kumuha dun sa taong nag-shopping
Or baka may
lang.
nanonood ng Gilas Pilipinas or may nanonood ng
Or
laban
siguro
ng ganito.
parang klase rin din dapat.
Ha?
Let your aide or assistant hold your cellphone and you parang class.
Para lang
Hindi rin allowed.
Kailangan nila
What do you
ng
think?
principal dun.
Kaso ang haba naman talaga ng voting.
Mahaba talaga.
Mahaba talaga. Parang 3 hours.
Oh, hindi mahaba talaga. Tama. Pwede, no? Yung kunyari katabi mo, pahawak mo, tapos makinood ka na lang.
Oo.
Tapos,
Hindi siya naman yung napahaba.
sorry. Tinuruan pa eh. But thank you. It's already 8:33. Great show as always. Bakit? Ba't ka natawa?
It was
On average.
8:30 when we said goodbye, but our conversation took long. Don't talk to us na.
Oh, we forgive you. We're forgiving. We're forgiving.
No, we forgive you for chatting with us.
Yeah.
Kasalanan nyo.
Ayaw niya talaga tayo paalisin.
Patay ako doon, wala akong laban doon. Pag sinabi niya kasalanan ko, ikaw na lang. Ikaw na ang lumaban.
Okay na.
Okay na. Thank you once again to Cez Vilon, Shawnee Yao, Pauline Versosa. Great show as always, The Big Story. And on our show, we've got updates check on Gilas Pilipinas. At check also on the PBL on tour.
And a conversation with Pinoy boxer Mark Magsayo after his win in the
Magnifico.
Manny Pacquiao